Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey here on Daybreak, and I have in studio with me Shelton City Manager Ryan Wheaton. Morning, Ryan.
Morning, Jeff.
Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
It's been a busy week for you. Last Tuesday, the 16th, you were in front of the Shelton City Commission, and you put forth your letter of resignation.
I did last week. Last week it was an interesting few days, and put that forward, and they accepted that resignation. And then we're working out now my exit, which will take place a week from tomorrow, 31st.
The 31st will be your last day. This, to a lot of the community that I have talked to in the last week, came to quite a shock to a lot of people. It seemed like, from the outside perspective, the city had been getting a pretty strong footing on moving forward. You've been implementing a lot of great things with your new team that you put together. Seemed like sky's the limit here. So you resigned. Why? I mean, what happened?
Well, I think first it felt like sky was the limit, and I still think that the team that's in place there really can achieve anything. The leadership team that we brought forward is a brand new leadership team. In the last year, we've put some key people in key roles, brought a lot of high climbers back to help out their hometown, and a lot of them had never left, so this was really just a new and exciting role for them. So I'm excited to see what they're able to achieve in 2018. But over the last few months, I have thought a lot about the process in the way I do this job, and I think over particularly the last 2 months, things had gotten to a point where I recognized that the only job that I ever loved was really ruining my life. And the way that I do this job and the amount of time that I spend into this was really taken away from everything outside of work. And that was causing some issues for me personally. I didn't have a problem with fixing that, but I think that with some of the changes that have happened in the last month, some of the information that I learned in doing this job, I think that it just makes sense for the commission to have an opportunity to go in a different direction. And I thought that the professional way to do that would be to provide them with that opportunity, and they took that opportunity last week.
I have our afternoon news anchor, Nick Scott, got a chance to talk to the mayor about this on the day after it happened. He said he was surprised. In fact, I got your headphones here. If you could
Sure.
take a listen to this. This is Nick talking to Mayor Krantz on what we're talking about now.
Did you make demands of him to do something different that he was not willing to do?
No, not at all. In fact, I was pretty surprised. He came forward expressing a desire to move on, and basically we just all talked and made a mutual evaluation of everything and talked it out. And I think he brought a lot of very wonderful things and good things to the city, and I wish the best for him on his next endeavor. And so, no, it was not my idea.
So, I mean, I just got to ask because it seemingly, we don't know what's going on obviously in your head, but it seemed like it came out of nowhere. Was this solely your decision on here?
I don't want to disparage anybody at the city, and that's important to me to make sure that I keep everything in a positive light. Me moving on isn't something that I necessarily endeavored to do at any point. I didn't take this job. I didn't come down here to work for a year and a half, buy a home in downtown Shelton, and then move on. But I think that the circumstances are such that me working here probably wasn't going to work out long term. I think that the direction that the city is looking at this point is maybe a little bit different than the skill set that I bring to the table. And I think it's important to remember that when you're looking for leadership in a city, you're looking all the way up. So it's not just the leadership team and the city manager, it's also the city commissioners. And I think everybody understands what's going on now, that there's a move to 7 people, and you're going to bring on 4 more people to make those decisions. So for me, when you look out at that crowd and you figure out who's running and take a look at who's already there, and you try to figure out if you're a good fit for that long term. And in my case, I would love to do this job forever. This is a job that I wish I could do forever, and I wanted to do forever when I came down. But in the end, after a year and a half, it really felt like that wasn't in the cards. And this, like I mentioned last week, this was really the time that allowed me an opportunity to move on before that decision came forward. And I think that for the commission, it provides them an opportunity to look for leadership that is in line with what they're looking for in the city.
Would you ever reconsider? Let's say after all is said and done, the council is seated. There's 7 people now. The majority of them, 4, put forth some sort of proclamation or motion that is asking for you to come back. Would you do that?
That would be a very bizarre move. And I will say that I'm really I'm built to do one thing, and that is work. So if I'm not working before those people are seated, I would be very surprised, because that is just what I do. So would I reconsider? I would never say no to to considering an opportunity. But the reality is there is a good amount of time before those 7 people are seated, and I don't expect that I'm going to sit at home and take a break for the next 4 months. I'm going to get out there and try to find something else that I can do that provides something either to this community or another one.
So do you have another job offer pending?
The
obviously.
nice thing about when you're with a team that does really good work is that people reach out to you. And I've been fortunate in the last week that a number of people have reached out. So I'm discussing some of those opportunities now.
It'd be locally, or I know you guys just moved into the area, but moved
We
back
did.
to the area.
Yeah, there are a mix of here in town and then some opportunities that are a little bit of a commute.
Have you've been kind of out of town for a couple days, but then back in here recently? What have you been hearing from folks come up to you in the community? As I mentioned, everybody that's come to me has been overly positive with the work you've done, the team you have come up with, and again, I think the main takeaway I get from everybody is just shock that this happened so fast. What are you hearing in the community?
Really nice things. Since this news went out, and I didn't talk to even our leadership team at the city until 4:00 on Tuesday, because I wanted to make sure that the commissioner and I had understanding, and the mayor did mention that in the clip that you played, and we do have a mutual understanding. So making sure that was in place was important to me. Since then, I've been very impressed with the outpouring of support, and I really see that support not for me, but for the things that our team was able to do at the city, and that is the team all the way from the frontline staff up through the management staff and our leadership team at the director level. The work that team has done in the last 18 months, whether that be on the grants that they have received, the capital budget appropriations, some of the projects that we've done internally that aren't made available to everybody, the internal workings of finance and those sorts of things. We have an amazing team, and I think that the support isn't really for me, it's for the work that they see being done at the city. And I'm excited, like I mentioned earlier, to see what they do in 2018. I still live downtown. I'm going to be there for the foreseeable future. But I've been very humbled by all of the things that have come out in the last week, and I just hope that those people that are supporting me at this point will support Craig, Darren, Vicky, Mark, and support all the other people at the city that are moving forward, and they're going to be there past the 31st when I'm there.
The day after you resigned, the finance director, Nola von Newdijk, she also put in her retirement resignation. Is this something that should concern the residents of the city of Shelton, that we're seeing some of the higher level leaders leaving?
It's a good question. My resignation and Nola's retirement weren't connected explicitly. One of them didn't cause the other. I think that Nola is her own person. She's been phenomenal to work with, and she has been a complete blessing for the city to have. She gave us a shot when we presented her with a list of issues that we were looking for somebody to come in and clean up. She answered the call the next day when I asked her if she's still interested, and she came in and did amazing work in the last year. So I think that there's a concern that when somebody of that talent leaves, it's going to be difficult to replace them. But in terms of those two things being connected, that's a probably a different subject. But I'm excited for her. Nola lives in Lacey. She has a husband that has been retired for a couple of years, and she's ready to relax a little bit and take some time for herself. And I'm excited to see what she does in retirement, because like me, she's somebody that works a lot, and I think that what you'll see from her in the next couple of months is that she'll figure out some exciting project to work on.
What advice would you give to the next Shelton City manager?
I would enjoy this job. This job has been a lot of work, but more than that, it has been by far the best job I've ever had. And in large part, that's because of the people that I worked with every day. And the next person coming on is going to be a very lucky person to get to work not just with the people down at the Civic Center, but the people in this community who are looking for some change. I would stress that person that the best resource that we have as an agency are the people that work at the city. When I started, I think I mentioned this to you last week, there was a specific mindset that I noticed in Public Works and the police department. And we worked very hard over the last 18 months to bring that through the rest of the city. And as I leave, I'm impressed that that our folks at the management level can go and talk to people at the frontline level and have a mutual respect that I don't think was there a year and a half ago. And we've been through quite a bit in the last year and a half. I think that the person coming on board probably won't have to go through what we experienced during that period, but it'll be fun. It's a fun job. It is easily the greatest opportunity that I'll ever have in my career. And I think that the person coming on board is going to be very lucky to have the quality of person or people working with them that they will at the city.
City Manager Ryan Wheaton till the end of the month.
That's right.
It's
Another
always
week.
nice talking with you.
Likewise.
Thanks for
Jeff.
coming by.
My pleasure.